I want to go to people who are starting going 0 to 1 in a D2C type company today. I have a bunch of friends who are building companies in e-commerce, and I'm curious, like, I obviously it's so far from where you currently are today, but I'm sure you pay attention to new brands starting out, what they do right, what they do wrong, and does anything in particular come to mind?
Yeah, dude, I tell people all the time, like, why are you trying to do this? I'm like it sucks. Like running a D2C brand, specifically in the 0 to 1 stage, sucks. It's like, dude, you are so like, and you know, a lot of it's optimism, and I wish them the best. It's like you're so close to failure at every single point. Like, you know, just name any of them. We could talk through the problem, like the problems that business faces, and it's financing inventory is a pain in the ass, right? You have to buy customers, right? That's a huge pain in the ass, it's a huge expense. Then you have to make sure it all pencils out, and then you're also trying to like pay yourself, scale up a team, like build infrastructure, build systems, right? And you're doing all that, and it's like, do you really love consumer? Like, do you really want to be doing this? Like, you should only do it if you're obsessed with it and like you literally couldn't dream of anything else, right?
Obsessed with what in particular?
The product you're selling, specifically the product you're selling, because everything else is just a byproduct of getting your products in people's hands. Like some people have so much joy when like they make a beverage and like they see people drinking it and they're like, this is great, it's a great beverage. Like, or like you have to think of people who think like truly that their product is saving people's lives, right? Like Dave Asprey or something. Like I don't know if he's a good example, but any of those guys who are like no, people need this. The Mudwater guys come to mind, right? I've met them. Back in the very early days, like this is like 2017, they had no money, but like, and they were making a gross ass drink, and they're like, this is better than coffee, and they really believed it, right? Like they lived that life, so like they were destined to be successful in consumer because they couldn't have a world where people weren't having this, right? So unless you're that, and that's why the guy I was talking about earlier who's going bankrupt, he was selling leggings, and I'm like, do you care about leggings? Are you obsessed with women's fashion? And he's like, no, just like I found this like these good designs on Alibaba. I'm like, yeah, then you should get out. like the like you know tourists visit beach towns in summer, right? And they don't visit in winter, right? Like people live in Maine all year round. People live in Maine in December, right? But like you show up in August, and it's just like consumer. I think the next 3 years in consumer are actually going to be really good, right? But the past 3 years have been very strange. So like we're in the December, right? Like we are in the cold season. Like vacation rentals are boarded up. So if you're a tourist in the industry, if you don't love this life, you should definitely not be in consumer right now.
But you said it's going to be really good for the next 3 years.
I think there is a turning point coming where it's going to get really good.
Why is that?
I did a bunch of analysis on it and I shared it, but the TLDR is that e-commerce sales, and that's really what I care about, right? Well, you could say consumer, you can also mean in-person sales or retail sales or whatever. I really care about e-commerce sales. It's like our bread and butter for our business. Um, we're currently at like 15% e-commerce penetration rate, right? The COVID spike was like 16 and a half. So we're beneath the COVID spike. That's why the past 18 months have felt really, really bad, right? And like I've been very open that like I think we're going to see more consumer bankruptcies because of this pull down. And really what that means is that like, you know, there was more dollars being spent online and there was less real dollars spent online, right? So, if 16.5% of all consumer sales are happening online, now it's 15%, it's like that is a 10% reduction. So without economic growth, right, the average store would be down 10%. If everything played back, there's less dollars happening online, right? So growing right now is you're beating gravity, right? You're beating the market. Like you're achieving alpha versus what the beta would be, which is 10% decrease. There has been GDP growth, so like just ignore that for a little bit, but like that is the reality. And if you look at the e-commerce trend rate pre-COVID, it was growing like 2 to 3% per quarter, right? So it was going from 10 to 10.3, and like every quarter it'd be going up, and we are beneath the trend line. So if COVID didn't happen, we would be at 16%. We're at 15% right now, right? And what that tells me, and my conclusion, my hypothesis is that um, COVID created this big forced adoption of e-commerce, right? Got us to 16.5%, right? We got 2 or 3 years worth of growth in one quarter, and we're still in the revenge period where people are pulling back, right? They're going to Taylor Swift concerts, they're traveling way more, and that was really last summer was really really hot with European travel, right? But they're still just doing more stuff IRL, but I think e-commerce wins in the end, right? There's a reason why since 2000, it's had a very steady growth rate from 0% to 15% now. So I think we'll get to 19 or 20% e-commerce penetration by Q4 next year, which is just a rapid spike. And I think we've overcorrected to one ditch, and we're going to go back to the other one, which is just more e-commerce penetration.